In this video, we are going to talk about the ultimate defender of the Capellan Confederation, the machine that has filled the ranks of the CCAF since its inception and is both a lethal weapon and a mass-produced legion that will answer the call from House Liao. Without further delay, let us begin the overview of Sears Metal Industries' Vindicator. A medium mech weighing in at 45 tons, the Vindicator is a relatively late comer to the inner sphere compared to most of its 3025 stablemates, and is one of the most important machines in its history. This value comes from the fact that the Capellan Confederation, one of the great houses, was absolutely maimed during the First Succession War, which resulted in the destruction of much of its military-industrial complex. After this industrial and military cataclysm, House Liao found itself only able to build mechs which were 60 tons or less, and found itself with very few functioning facilities. This left them in dire need of consolidation in designs, and what resulted was what would become the workhorse of the CCAF, the Vindicator. Meant to consume as few resources as possible, the Vindicator was designed deliberately to be a jack-of-all-trades, capable of participating in long-range fire support, point defense, or offensive strikes. The original designers would point out that they only had one true flaw in it, which was that it had lackluster fashion. This machine would come into service in 2826, walking out of the Sears Metal facilities, and would see combat in the Second Succession War and beyond, all while being the most common mech in the CCAF, barring Stingers, Wasps, and Locusts. No single war machine is more important to any state of the inner sphere. The Vindicator is a major factor behind the survival of the Capellan Confederation. Though as a quick aside, it has a rather infamous ejection system. The primary model made of the Vindicator during its initial run through to the end of the Succession Wars is the VND-1R. Powered by a GM-180 standard engine weighing in at 7 tons, the Vindicator can reach a top speed of 64.8 kilometers per hour. It also has a jump jet ability allowing it to leap up to 120 meters. This scale of speed and mobility is standard for mainline combat units during the Succession Wars, and allows it to move at a strategic level as fast as its peers in the medium and heavy categories. Tactically, the Vindicator is not particularly quick, and is somewhat slower than expected, but interestingly, not slower than its role needs it to be, allowing it to have a passable top speed for the design. For heatsinks, the VND-1R has an impressive 16 total standard heatsinks, allowing it to fire most of its primary weapons array without much concern as to the heat it will cause, and giving it leeway when using its jump jets and engaging in direct combat. In terms of offensive capabilities, the Vindicator is fairly well armed. The primary weapon on board is its right arm mounted Sears Arms Smasher PPC, giving it a long-range punch and armor-breaching ability, and this weapon only becomes compromised in engagements that come at a very close range. To back up this, the VND has a Sears Jaguar LRM missile system with 5 tubes for minimal heat gain and to add a bit of extra damage. For up-close encounters, the VND has a Sears Arms medium laser, backed up by a Hessery small laser. All in all, as far as weapons go, the VND is armed in a very similar way to many of its peers, and reliably outguns most mechs lighter than it. In addition to this, the VND-1R benefits from good heat cycling ability, as well as its primary weapon not being dependent on ammunition. Though it's not a weapons package that will shock anyone in surprise, or lay them out like an AWS-8Q, it is a well-rounded system on a medium mech designed for direct engagements. Finally, we come to protection. For defense, the VND-1R comes with an impressive 9 tons of standard armor, giving it some of the heaviest armor across the medium mech class, and making it the most heavily armored 45-ton mech in the original TRO 3025. This protection is essential to offset its very average speed and allowing it to persist on the battlefield while fighting peer-weight adversaries or heavier opponents. The VND-1R is a success for an enormous number of reasons. Firstly, it's cheap and easily producible. Secondly, it's a mech that fills a multitude of roles, once again making it easier to support. In terms of its fighting ability, it can be put in the ring with most other mediums, especially in formation-on-formation combat, and hold its own. It is a frontline battlemech, designed to fill whole columns and fight in large engagements, or support smaller units or each other. It is a brilliant design, which in truth is a major factor behind the CCAF and Capellan Confederation surviving for as many centuries as they have. While not pretty, this solid, innovative design ensured that House Liao would not fall, even in its darkest hours. But the venerable VND-1R is not the only variant that exists for this numerous machine. With so many of them being built, multiple refits would appear over time, as well as new production line versions too. These are three of the more prominent, in my view, that have appeared since the arrival of the VND series. During the Succession War, an alternative model would be constructed in 2863, often nicknamed the Avenger Angel. The VND-AA was built to be more of a peer of its current weight range, aiming to fight against faster moving units. What resulted was a very flawed design, however, as its speed was increased to 86 km per hour, and its jumping distance was increased to 150 meters, but at the cost of half of its armor, making it extremely frail on the battlefield and resulting in the configuration being considered largely a failure, so much so that many were given away for free to the Free Rosselhague Republic. During the clan invasion era, the Capellans would begin to see a resurgence in their manufacturing and overall importance to the Inner Sphere economy. This would result in them being able to produce newer variants of old designs, as well as reviving industry, and the Vindicator was one of the first to be upgraded to the new standard. The VND-3L is the initial design, supporting new technology to enhance its original pattern. Carrying a staggering 30 double heatsinks, it cannot overheat under almost any conditions. Its weapons are largely upgrades from the original design, an ER PPC to replace the PPC, and a medium pulse laser replaces its original medium laser at the expense of the small laser as well. It would also take on a case for the LRM ammunition to increase the durability of the design. Overall, despite not being radically changed, this variant is a successful, light upgrade of an already successful design, and doesn't radically increase the cost or complexity of manufacturing either for the VND series as a result. Finally, the latest model I'm aware of is the VND-6L, which comes from 3068 and forward. This design is a major refit over the original and changes a great deal of the technology on board. First, it replaces the original PPC with a now horrifying and dangerous plasma rifle, giving it a terrifying killing ability, as well as the function to literally, and I mean this, melt infantry and vehicle crews. It would also use 2 ER medium lasers, as well as a targeting computer for all three systems. A Guardian ECM would be added to the design as well, and of course the ever-famous stealth armor the Capellans have become renowned for. As well, it has twin rocket launcher 10s for one-shot attacks when needed. Finally, it has a sword for melee combat and even triple strength myomer, increasing its speed and physical attack power. This production variant is uncommon due to requiring supplies built from outside of the Capellan Confederation, though one would assume with time and into the Dark Age that this would become more common. Overall, the VND series of mechs are incredibly important to the military survival and later success of the Capellan Confederation. Even into late eras, they are a major staple of the military due to their relative ease of production and their reliable reputation. They are, of course, not without setbacks, such as earlier models having trouble at close ranges, as well as having poor speed, which would later be solved by new technologies. Though it is not without its detractors overall, the Vindicator has proven itself in the field of battle time and time again. How can one not say that it has been vindicated by its performance? Thank you for joining me here today. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. There is also a YouTube membership program that supports this channel, and I appreciate the support from members immensely. With that, I will catch all of you in the comment section below.